See, Pop, I've been working at this for a long time.
Yeah, you are a hard worker. Putting a lot of firewood.
Hi, I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Joshua.
And I'm Fern.
And today we're going to talk about our plans for energy storage on Linnaea.
When we got Linnaea, she had 3 areas for storing energy. There was the house battery bank for electrical energy, and then 2 diesel tanks for propulsion.
And now that the engines are gone and electric motors are on the way, we need more room for electrons.
This, Fern is holding, is a Nissan Leaf battery module. They are widely available on the market from either replaced from vehicles, from Nissan Leafs, or from they get salvaged from wrecked Leafs sometimes.
Yeah, we chose to go with these because they're modular, they're a convenient shape and energy capacity, and they assemble really nicely.
And they're quite affordable. So we're going to build 2 separate battery banks, one in each hull, and each of those banks will contain 56 of these modules for a total of about 35 kilowatt hours of energy storage to run our new electric motors. These modules, though, are only cells. There are no protections, no electronics or anything here. So to be able to use these safely, they have to be integrated with a battery management system, or a BMS. And we'll show you how that's done now.
Wait just a minute. Before we get to the mess of wires upstairs, let's take a look at an overview of the whole system. As Joshua said, we'll have 2 separate 48-volt battery banks, each with 56 Leaf modules. They'll be monitored by independent battery management systems and located just forward of the electric motors, down low in the hulls. Each side will also have an inverter for managing AC loads and communicating with the display. AC shore power and our existing AC generator will feed into the inverter. Back on the DC side, there will be converters to charge the existing 12-volt house battery bank, which we use for lights, electronics, the windlass, all of that stays. We hope that most of our energy comes from the sun, the wind, and some regen while sailing. We'll expand our renewable generation by adding a second wind turbine and more PV. In the long term, we also plan to upgrade to an efficient DC generator to charge our batteries when we need to. Oops, we can't have holes in the hulls. That was easy. Now let's go upstairs.
So Fern, you saw the line diagram that Mama drew on the whiteboard that showed all of the system components that are going to go into Linnaea. I wanted to show you what they look like in real life. So these are those Nissan Leaf battery modules, and there's 7 of them all stacked in series here to get 48 volts. That explanation was long, rambly, and a little bit patronizing, so I'll just paraphrase. That's the battery stack. There's a little wire to each cell so that the BMS up there, the Orion BMS, can monitor the voltage and then control those 2 contactors. One of those contactors cuts off any source of charging, and the other one disconnects the battery entirely in case there's an emergency. The BMS also communicates to the inverter to tell it the maximum charge and discharge current, and for the display there to show state of charge. This whole setup is doing 2 things. One, it's confirming that the entire system functions the way it's supposed to. And the other thing is we're measuring the capacity of each of those battery modules. Since they're used, there's a little bit of variability. And we're going to end up stacking them 7 in series, but then 8 in parallel. So we have the opportunity here to match them and make some well-matched sets in the final battery packs. And there's also up there, that's the piece that takes the 48-volt battery stack and makes it 12 volts to run like the lights and the winch and those things on the boat that run on 12 volts.
And the toilet.
And the toilet runs on 12 volts too. That's right. So you may have noticed that the solution we've been describing is not an electric-only boat. It's really a hybrid kind of solution. Our plan is to keep our 2 diesel tanks and keep a diesel-powered generator to back up the solar and wind power that we're nominally planning on running on. It's one of the things that I really like about catamarans is having that redundancy in the propulsion. And so we're definitely wanting to keep that kind of redundancy with 2 separate electric motor systems, either of which could push the boat forward, and then the diesel generator to make sure the batteries are able to stay full.
Yeah, but really, Linnaea is a sailboat, and we hope to use the sails as much as possible for getting around. That's kind of the whole point. So. Yeah,
for sure. And that was one of the things that we learned from our first boat, which was a monohull with a kind of flaky diesel engine, is that you can't rely on any one piece, no matter what the technology is. You have to have some redundancy if you want to have reliability. And as a result of that experience, we became better sailors. We learned how to sail in tight spots.
Yeah, it was also pretty stressful. With this crew, I'm excited to have flexible and reliable ×2. We'll have enough excitement.
Up next, some exciting stuff. We need to figure out how we're going to integrate the batteries into the hulls. There's some structural design work and some fabrication in the machine shop and some fiberglassing. Although the forecast in Maine right now is for it to not get above freezing in any meaningful way for the foreseeable future. So that makes the fiberglass work pretty challenging. So maybe we'll stick with the machine shop work now and look for a warm front to pass through or something.
We need a weather window.
We need to find a weather window to do the glass layup in the hull. Yeah. But should be some exciting stuff, and a big pallet of Nissan Leaf modules just arrived, and I can't wait to dig into those and start testing them.
Okay, here's one for the grandparents. I was just looking back through old pictures, and I remembered this time where the kids were riding their bikes around the driveway.
Yeah.
And Fern was like, "My bike runs on fairy gas." Because she's really into fairies. And Till said, "My bike runs on propane."
Propane?
Because the propane truck had just been here to fill up the tanks around back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think Linnaea could run on propane? I mean, she is a sailboat.